What is up, guys? Brandon aka Drip back with another video. In this video I have a deck I played at locals last week. Didn't have all the greatest luck with it, but I still stick by the build. It made me learn a lot about this deck. If you couldn't tell already, it's just regular Dogmatica invoked. not the it's just the regular Dogmatic invoked, not the regular like Shadal Dogmatic invoked. With this build, it pretty much just it's like my personal opinion, it feels like a controller, like a more controlling combo deck. So it just slows your opponent down long enough to finish them off. If you can get your combo pieces. This deck also struggles against control decks, actual like legit control decks, I feel. Because if you watch my duel videos, if not, you can go check them out on the channel. I faced round one. I faced I think it was Paleo. My friend Geo and his Paleo deck, really saucy. Have the profile on the channel. Check it out. It's really good. He went undefeated that night with that deck. And then round two was against Salamangrate. I still think Salamangrate is a very good deck. It's a really good deck. How they can just keep looping their resources if you have no way to stop in their graveyard effects. But that deck is really, really good. I have a lot of respect for it. I have bad luck with it anyways. If you know me, I've talked about salads before. I have bad luck with them ever since they came out. And then round three was against my friend Nebula. And I actually won that one because it wasn't really against a serious control. It was the fact where round one I faced a control deck and it was rough for the deck to go against. And then against Salads, I call them Salads. Against Salads, they just are really good for the grind game, and I got outgrinded. And then I faced the Infernoble 6 Samurai deck. And that one was it was pretty back and forth, honestly. But yeah. Couple announcements. If you don't want to listen for the announcements and all this, I'll put the time in the video so you can just skip all this, because I know sometimes I talk a lot. We are starting this new thing in the Discord where myself and Nebula, the other guy, one of my friends who has another channel, will kind of have a miniature podcast. So if you want to join that, just join the Discord. And when we do it once to twice a week, normally in the Discord, I'll let them know a couple days in advance or whatever when we're doing that. So if you want to be around for that, and we can just talk Yu-Gi-Oh, talk about the upcoming lists or whatever it is, upcoming sets, decks you think needs work or needs help and assistance on that, we just talk Yu-Gi-Oh. That's all we do while we play some EDO for funds. But I'm not going to waste any more of your time, guys. Go ahead and drop a like. Subscribe, please, if all is possible. 91% of you are not subscribed. Comment if necessary if you want. Let me know what you think of the deck, what you're playing this format, what you think the best decks of this format is. And join Discord if you want to become closer to the DD fam. Let's go ahead and get in this video. Sorry about wasting your guys' time. To start off, I really like this deck. I've been wanting to build this deck for a while, but there's one card that when we get there, I'll say this deck really needs, and you can't really play the deck without it because it's not as consistent and it's not as powerful. But to start off, we got 3 Alistar. I'm really big on I've been playing Invocation the Invoked for a while. It's just I haven't put anything up on the channel because Invoked adapts to usually whatever format it's in, so it requires certain cards that are kind of expensive. But 3 Alistar. In this build, you need 3. I know in the Shadal one, they usually only run 2. Unless if it's the Shadalmatica. If it's just regular Invoke Shadal, I know they run 3, which I understand completely. But in this build, you need 3 because you need to get to Alistar as fast as you can. Because one, he's Ash bait, he's hand trap bait. And on top of that, if he resolves, you pretty much win the game, honestly. I think I only resolved him, made Macabre once, and didn't win. I could be wrong, but I know majority of the time, whether it's on camera or off camera, if I resolve Alistar and make Macabre, and I have the rest of my combo, I normally win that duel. Next we got my favorite like engine / archetype right now, and that's Dogmatica. If you've seen my builds and my profiles on my channel, I try to do anything and everything I can to mix these in with them, because I just love this. I love this deck, archetype and deck. This deck alone too, I love too. We got one Maximus and one Fleur. Maximus, I know a lot of people don't run it because they don't want to give their opponents like advantage, because they can get free bodies on board and they can get free pops. But normally, 99% of the time, no one's going to really have a card for this. And even if they do, you already have an out for it anyways. And even if you don't, most of the time you're so far ahead to where you can just recover and keep going off after that anyways, or have enough hand traps or something to slow them down. And on top of that, this card adds too much consistency for this deck to not run it, in my personal opinion. And then Fleur is just nice. Effect Veiler in hand, you can special summon on your opponent's turn. Even if they just have, if you're going second and you have it in hand, and like let's say you're playing against like Virtual World or something, and you know they're going to push for VFD, you can still summon this on their turn to have a body on board. So it's really nice in that part. That's all for the Dogmatica monsters. Onto the hand traps. This is where the deck gets really thick, is the hand trap count. But they all are offensive and defensive hand traps. We got the Gamma package. I still believe in Gamma. I still think it's really good. Granted, it's not as good as it was in certain like other decks. It's only good in certain decks is what I'm trying to say now. But I still believe in it. I still think it's one of the best ones in the format. Next to this card that never seems to find her way out of the format or any format, because even if she goes just for only rogue, she's in majority of people's decks. And then my personal opinion, probably the best hand trap, just my opinion, of this format, and that's Skullmeister. I run two. If you draw both of them or you draw multiple, you can activate them both in the same turn. That's the only reason I run him instead of Bell, because I run other hand traps that do the same thing that Bell can do. It's just like anything Bell can do, a majority of these can do. Sorry guys, my camera fell. And then I also run DD Crow. DD Crow is very, very good in this format. It's needed to like just yeet whatever your opponent has out of the graveyard. Anything that's problematic. Playing against heroes, you get rid of their malicious. You're playing against Virtual World, you get rid of that spell card they send off of Lulu, or whatever else they have problematic. Against Drytron, you can get rid of that stupid one they keep looping. And then Nib is just Nib. So it's necessary. You need it when you need it. That's why I don't run three, because it's usually side out target. Normally, if like majority of decks, they either don't combo enough to like for you to nib them, or they're just slow because we're in a slower format, in my personal opinion. But that is my hand trap count. I stick to it. I love my hand trap count. I don't think nothing's wrong with it. I saw what I needed to saw, but one thing I will say is it was very frustrating, because sometimes with this deck, I either saw too many hand traps or I didn't see enough. So it was very frustrating. I had several occasions where I didn't even see a single hand trap, and you see my lineup here. I didn't see a single hand trap, and I even used Desires too, and I still didn't draw into nothing. It was very frustrating in that regard, but I still think it's because of my luck. I just have bad luck. That's it for the hand traps. On to the spells. We have 3 Meltdown, and yes, I actually run the Terraform because I feel like it's necessary. Definitely in this build. This build, like I said before, your number one priority is to get to Alistar. Get to Alistar, get to Alistar, get to Alistar. And not only that, Magical Meltdown protects your fusion plays where they can't like negate it or use they can't negate the summon, or they can't like nib you on summon or whatever. So like your stuff just goes through pretty much. Is all that matters. And you need it all to go through, and Meltdown provides it for you. So 3 Meltdown, 1 Terraforming. I play 3 Invocation. The only reason I play 3 Invocation is because I play this card at 3. I play 3 Desires. I know. If you see any of my deck profiles ever, and I'm talking about draw power, I hate this card. I can't stand Desires. Even though I'm running, I still can't stand it. It hurts me the amount it benefits me, if not more sometimes. I couldn't tell you on how many occasions I banished my 1 Schism off of this. I banished my 1 Fleur-de-Lis off of this. I know I would be running 2 Fleur-de-Lis, but I don't own 2. So I banished my 1 Fleur, I banished my 1 Schism, and I banished my 1 Driver one time, which was very frustrating. So this deck, this card does not benefit me that much, but it does benefit me. It's one of those things where when it works, it works. But when it doesn't, it doesn't. I hate this card. I can't stand it. But I think it's the worst, draw card ever. I'm serious. I hate it. But moving on with the spells. We got 3 of the God card. Nadir. Card is disgusting. It's ridiculous. Send 1. Search. You can send anything you want. Send Intis to pop. Send Titaniclad, Ash Dragon to search something during the end phase. It's bait for hand traps pretty much too. If you already have full combo and you just have this, you could just use this and try to bait something. If not, then you just plus. Moving on to the rest of the spells. This next card is literally the card that I was referring to, that my personal opinion, you cannot play this deck without it, and it's Triple Tactics Talent. I would not suggest anybody to play this deck without it. You cannot play this deck without talents. You can, but it's nowhere near as good. Not only is it nowhere near as good, it's just nowhere near as consistent, and it doesn't, in my personal opinion, you would have to completely change the way the deck functions. The only reason I haven't gotten this deck profile to you guys before this was because I didn't own this card. I had to trade away 2 Lightning Storms to get this card, which in my opinion was a fair trade because they're the same price and everything like that. They needed Lightning Storms. I had 3 and I didn't need 3 because my personal opinion, that card, you only really need 1 anymore, since everybody puts their stuff in defense position and Feather Duster's at 1. So yeah. But talents, you need this card. In my personal opinion, this deck, it's just too free, man. Because this deck, when you play this deck completely screams. It screams, hit me with hand traps, hit me with Ash, hit me with Gamma. And this card says, I'm going to play through it. And even if you have full combo, if you get hit by the hand traps, and this just says, I'm going to make you go a -1. I'm going to rip a card out of your hand. So it's really good in that regard. So I really like it. And then the last spell cards, I'll play 1 Upstart. I needed a 40th card, and what I was going back and forth between this and Called by the Grave. But I decided to run this because, yes, Called by the Grave is an offensive and a defensive card. But I wanted to be more aggressive. I wanted to push more. I'm not really worried about my opponent's life points by giving him an additional 1,000 life points, because I'm going to use Invoked Aquades to take away all the life points I gave them and some. So I'm not worried about it in that regards. So I felt like Upstart Goblin was a perfect 40th card. But the last 3 cards of the deck is 2 Punishment, 1 Schism. Schism is literally probably one of the most broken trap cards that's for combo decks or whatever that's ever been made. This card is just nuts. The only reason I run 1 is because I don't own a second copy and I don't feel like paying $20, $25 plus for it. So I run 1. Because of Desires is the only reason I would run 2. But 2 Punishment, I'm really iffy about Punishment when it comes to everything. Punishment is really only good if you already have an established board. Outside of that, it's not good. But I still run it because it does come up to where I need to clear boards in order to slow my opponent down enough for a couple of turns to where I can regain my resources. Like in certain situations, this card can be really good if your opponent is like not really in a top decking state, but they are close to it and they're relying on like their last couple cards they have in their hand, and they already like broke your board because they use most of their resources to break your board. Then they're like staggering at that point, so you can just flip this to completely like slow them down for a turn or two, so where the lockout effect doesn't really hurt you, and you can just start pulling your way back. That's the only reason that I think this card is really good. Outside of that and not having a full established board, it hurts more than it benefits. But that's it for the main deck, guys. It's 40 cards. Try to keep it as close to 40 as I can. Now for the extra deck, I run one Almirage, one Gardna, and one Madness for my Link monsters. Literally the only reason I run Almirage is so I can get an additional monster from the extra deck in the graveyard for Maximus. That's literally the only reason. Outside of that, I wouldn't run him. I would run the new Magistus monster, that Link 1 girl. I can't remember her name. But I would run her instead, because normally outside of that, Almirage is normally really only good if you're going to go into Purgatrio to help to turbo out Purgatrio if you don't have an Asher engrave, or that your opponent doesn't have an Asher engrave. So outside of that, that's the only reason I run Almirage, because there's some situations where like I will get extra deck monsters engrave, but I don't want to banish them, so I need one that I want to banish. And since I don't run Purgatrio, Almirage fits that thing for me. So because like I run something else in the extra deck, and I'll show you why I don't want to banish certain extra deck cards. And then Secure Garden is obviously just for a light. And then this, we never really make it. There's some situations where we do make it, and then we could just use Schism or whatever, and then discard a card to search Invocation. But he's in here because sometimes I need a different Link too. And outside of that, I can send him off of Maximus, and he also counts as Alistar engraved, because there's certain situations where I can't get to Alistar, but I hard draw Invocation instead, which is really frustrating at times. But this, I can just send this off of Maximus and then banish it, and then just use Invocation to bring out Macabre or whatever I need. So it does come up for that regard too. I know a lot of decks don't play it, but that's it for the Link monsters. Moving on to the fusions. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Invoke plays. I'm sorry about the cameras constantly moving, guys. This setup's a little cramped today because I was working on other decks and stuff to get different deck profiles out for you guys. But anyways, sorry about that rambling. Two Macabre. I honestly thought about bumping him down to 1 at one point, but because the card that I told you I run in my extra deck could help bring him back. But I decided to keep him. And then Kaliga is just too good to cut, honestly. He took Purgatrio's spot, because you can literally just make this. Get out. If you have Alistar and your Alistar resolves, you can make Kaliga if you don't open full combo. Just make Kaliga, get the Alistar back in hand off of the Invocation effect, and sit on him if you're playing against a serious combo deck like Drytron's or Virtual World, and you can just sit on him until you build up enough resources just OTK, and you can protect him with the Alistar in hand, so it's really nice. And then this card is just nuts. Equades, probably pronounce his name wrong, but I don't care. But Equades is really busted, because on summon it pops a card, and you can banish a fusion monster to buff him. And on top of that, if he stays on the field and for some odd reason you don't OTK, when your opponent special summons a monster, you can pop a monster too. So he pops a monster on summon. He can gain attack points by banishing a fusion monster from grave. And if he stays on the field on your opponent's turn, he can pop a special summon monster. So like if you put your opponent into a top decking situation, and as soon as they're about to regain resources by special summoning, people forget or don't know about his secondary effect, that when your opponent special summons a monster, you can pop a special summon monster. So you can catch them in mid combo, you catch them at the beginning of your combo, whatever you're playing against, and it's really, really good. I didn't really understand why people like this card until I started playing it, because I was a Purgatrio like OG. I was like, Purgatrio's OG, dude. I'm not going to leave Purgatrio like that. And now me and Purgatrio not in a good standpoint because he's mad at me because I left him for Aquades. So, but yeah, that's it for the Invoked engine. Now for the Shaddoll, the little splash Shaddoll. This is pretty much it right here. This is all you need. I thought about running a second window, but I'll tell you later in the video why I didn't run a second window in this build. Unlike the Shaddoll Dogmatica deck, this one just utilizes just window. That's it. It sets traps and relies on just window and the traps to slow you down, as in punishment and schism and stuff. So yeah, that's it for the Shaddoll, the splash Shaddoll. Next for the utility, we have 2 Intis. I was going to run 1, but I just figure 2 is good for the grind game, and I want to be able to grind, even though I got outgrinded by Salads. Prime example why I would like to make my decks to grind. But 2 Intis necessary, and then Ash Dragon for utility. And then Blue Eyes Ultimate. I don't actually own a 5-headed dragon, so I needed something big, and anybody who knows me knows I'm obsessed with Blue Eyes, so I was like, why not? Why not? It's not as big as 5-headed dragon, but it's still big. The last card in the extra deck is this card. I don't understand why no one really runs this in their Invoked Dogmatica or the Invokematica dolls. This card is so degenerate and it's so freaking good. And that is Psyframe Omega. Lord Omega. This card is nuts. You just, like, this is why I don't run a second copy of Window. This is why I just, this is literally anything in your extra deck times additional. This is anything in your main deck times additional. You just take this, send it off of Nadir or send it off of Maximus, and then shuffle it back. So if they manage to attack over your window, but they keep your schism, you could just send this, take your window, shuffle it back, and this back into your extra deck. Continue combo off, attacking, and if you need to, make window again by sending the construct or whatever. Normally the construct will be saved just in case if they pop your schism instead of banishing it. But if you need to get to your window again, you know it will like pretty much give you game, because 2 windows kind of difficult, because a lot of people for most decks have to burn most of their resources to just get over this, and depending on the decks. But if you need to in that situation, you could just use like when you have Maximus on field, you just send this, and then you can send like if they and whatever else you may need. Like it could be your where's it at? Right here. It could be your Ash Dragon to search a follow-up for during the end phase. It could be Intis to pop, so you can send this, shuffle your resources back while popping your opponent's resources at the same time. This is another reason why I say people who don't run Maximus, I feel like they're missing out on a lot of consistency. Or you can send this if you need an Alistar. You can send whatever. If you like another thing that's cool too. I don't have it on film, but like they pop, like I had a personal idea that like popped my schism. I use Maximus to send send Omega and send like what is it, construct to add back my schism to my hands, and then use the Omega to shuffle back my construct, so I have my construct back in my my extra deck. It was really nice. So like Omega can shuffle anything back, and it works out really nice. I love Omega, and it's really nice too if like you use Gamma and they hand trap you. You Gamma their hand trap, like Droll or Ash or whatever, and you Gamma, and then you just synchro into Omega and you rip an additional card out of your hand. I had this one situation where I was facing this opponent and I Omega'd his Ash, and then I used Omega's effect to banish, and I end up ripping a Lightning Storm out of his hand. And then when he got his lightning storm back, his lightning storm was dead because Ari had he had a full board. So it was pretty funny in that regards. But that's it for the video, guys. I'm sorry about rambling. But I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe. Be on the lookout for a lot of new deck profiles. I have a pretty fair amount coming to you guys. I got some good stuff coming for you guys in the next week or two. It's pretty good for content right now, so I'm pretty happy about that. But again, drop a like, comment, subscribe, join the DDD fam in the description down below with the Discord, PayPal, everything. All the links are down below. If you want to donate to the channel, everything goes towards cameras and stuff, cards, deck profiles. But anyways, with all that aside, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. I hope you enjoy your day, night, morning, evening, whenever you're watching this. Stay safe out there and drip out. Good dueling, guys. Peace.